I am just a month shy of 10 years. So next month it will be 10 years. Don't make me dance. My name is Marketa Myricks, and I am the Director of Human Resources for Seraaj Family Homes. As the Director of Human Resources, I ultimately ensure that the company operates legally, is compliant with all respective boards and local and federal laws as well. The entire onboarding process, recruitment of positions and onboarding employees, interviews, paperwork. It's a lot you can talk about in regards to human resources, training as well. And sometimes I even throw in an IT hat from time to time. So yeah, kind of dib and dab in a little bit, wearing those multiple hats, as our CEO would say. I had quite a few years of experience prior to, and so right now I do a lot of recruiting. The bulk of my days are spent reviewing resumes, trying to reach out to people. And I was used to recruiting before Seraaj, just in a different way. Actually going out and finding the people, like literally walking up to them. And so it was a little different, but I started looking at, I had to think about the job seeker, whether they be a college student or a recent grad or someone who's in their mid-career or with extensive experience. So I had to put myself in their shoes, and where would they go to find their next employment opportunity? And sometimes you have to go to social media. A lot of the online job search engines, the one that we primarily use is Indeed. It seems to work well. And then I also connect with the different universities, because we partner with a lot of universities for internships. And so I connect with them and make sure that their students and their alumni know about our employment opportunities. And they have a system for that as well. I really strongly believe, and this is never going to change, that your high-performing employee recommends great talent. It's just something that has proven to work well. Kind of like, well, it's not kinda, this is factual even in foster care. Our foster parents do a lot of recruiting for other foster parents to join the agency. And it works out really well. We have wonderful foster parents, and a lot of them were recruited by other foster parents. And I love to see that. I would love to see that happen more when it comes to positions that we have to fill. Supervisors, therapists, social workers, case managers, family support workers. And we have had that to happen recently, honestly. We've had, actually in the Montgomery region, we've had a couple of new staff to recommend others, and we've hired them. We've had it to happen in Birmingham as well, maybe in most of our regions. And they seem to, everything seems to work out. So maybe we'll get to that point where most of the talent may come from the high-performing employees. For 6 months before joining Seraaj. Prior to that, I was in HR, so I've been in HR for 20 years now. I left HR for what appeared to have been a wonderful opportunity in retail with a Fortune 200 company. Very excited. The onboarding process was a little rocky, some things happened, and I wanted to go back to HR. Great company to work for, but the HR position I was hired for was no longer there as of my first day. So it is a funny story when I tell it. So I ended up being in retail. I ended up being over the front end operation, cashiers, customer service, Photoshop, food, all of the clothing. I can shop all day in a retail store, but the merchandising and the stocking and all that is not for me. Yeah, so I saw this position opportunity posted online and I said, this sounds like a great opportunity. I was somewhat familiar with the company, had heard some things about Seraaj. As a matter of fact, I think I probably applied for Seraaj many moons ago before even entering HR. I want to say maybe during my college days or right after college, I'm not sure, but knew some people who had worked here before, so I said, I'm gonna see if they're interested in me. So it worked out well, and here I am nearly 10 years later, still here. Everyone was very welcoming. I was interviewed by Mr. Seraaj, Mr. Salim, Allison Mills, Glenda Thomas, and our previous Director of Training, Avis Thomas. As a matter of fact, Glenda, Allison, and Avis did the first interview, and Mr. Seraaj and Mr. Salim did my second interview. I do remember that. I still remember, yeah, some things about the interview. Yeah, it was a really good interview. I remember when Glenda Thomas reached out to me and offered the job. She was the one, I don't know if she remembers that she's the one who offered it to me, but over the years, the relationships that I have developed here have gotten stronger. And each have their own little twist to it. And I enjoy every twist, yeah. I get something from everyone. I really do. So I'm open to learning from everybody. And when I tell you everybody, I have learned from Allison, from Glenda, from Mr. Seraaj, from Mr. Salim, from Miss Ball. Oh my goodness, Miss Carolyn Ball. I have learned a lot from Miss Ball, and I tell anyone she is my therapist, my free therapist. But I told her once I hit it big, I'm going to write her a check for her therapy sessions with me. But I have learned so much about foster care, about the business, and yes, my career is human resources. That's what I received my master's in. That was my field of study. But in terms of the operation, knowing more about the operation helps you when it comes to your responsibility as an HR professional. Any HR professional cannot have a tunnel mindset where strictly HR, this is what I do. Oh, that's not my lane. Nope, that's not my lane. You have to understand the business in order to really effectively do what you're supposed to do as an HR professional. And so what I have learned from everyone about the business has helped me as an HR professional. I learned from the caseworkers. I learned from the therapists, social workers, the foster parents whenever I get the opportunity to be around them. So I've learned from several since being here at the agency. Some who are still here, some who are not. I learned a lot about what managing performance using the data. I learned a lot about that from our previous executive director of the DC operation, Dr. Ivory McMillan. And she may not even know that I was learning these things from her, but just in observing how she operated, how she held meetings, what questions she would ask during the meetings, and reading her emails, her breaking things down, and even in our discussions. I mean, so I have I've learned a lot from everyone. I've learned a lot about myself. Some things for the camera, some things not. But I have learned a lot about myself over the years, just due to work experiences and personal experiences. And so I have personally had a lot to take place within my family since being here. And I tell you, I think it started from maybe within my first year of employment. And I really think about that often, honestly, because I do strongly believe that God places you where you should be in your life. I just strongly believe that. And I believe I am, or I have been, where I've needed to be for the past almost decade. And I just think about what has transpired personally, things I've had to deal with, and it's a lot that I have had to deal with personally. And I was supported. Things that I had to do, I had to be flexible with my work schedule. I had to be creative with some things, and as long as I got the job done, I was supported, and I really, really appreciate that. I've learned a lot about myself personally. I would like to think that I've always been patient, but I'm really patient. Working as a team as well, because I was used to working solo with what I did before joining Seraaj, not including the 6-month retail experience, but prior to. And so working with a team, and I love it. You know, working with the team, especially if you're open to constructive criticism. Our team does not mind, telling you when you ain't doing right. And I've learned a lot from everyone. So working with the team, I've learned how to do that better. In my field, I have improved upon quite a bit. So learn anything new, not necessarily new in the field of HR, but I have improved upon the knowledge that I did have. So it's been a wonderful experience, really. I have learned a lot about myself. I have learned how to pick battles. I'm a very vocal person, still am. I know that's not gonna change at all. And so learning when you can be vocal and know when it's the right time. I'm not disrespectful, but I just like to advocate for the right things. And again, that's not gonna change. But knowing how to, when to, I have definitely learned that. Thank you. I'm a work in progress. I ran across a text message the other day, and why was I was looking for something regarding getting ready for the audit, and so looking for something about an employee file. I'm not going to tell you which file, but I ran across an old text where it was around Thanksgiving, maybe a week or two. I lost my dad in November 2017, and it was a text message that I had sent Mr. Seraaj, just thanking him for being supportive during the time, and because it was 3 months of me really watching him just kind of go away. And the company, the team that I worked with, very supportive and understanding. But I ran across that text message on, what's today? What we working on, Friday? It was Wednesday, I think Tuesday or Wednesday night of this week. And his response, and I read it a couple of times, and he was just talking about how we go through things in life. And I had to read a couple times because I have my moments. Even when the team doesn't know, Marketa is somewhere having her moment now, just due, to that. And so that meant a lot, even though it was a text from almost 3 years ago. Lord have mercy. Just in terms, the first thing I think about would be just honestly, the operation itself in regards to the business that we're in. And there are some challenges there. And we're very transparent about that when meeting with the regions, doing their case reviews. The number of clients have decreased in some programs, but I'm very optimistic. We're getting back on track, definitely headed in the right direction. I have seen roller coasters in regards to just the recruitment process. I had to learn, and Mr. Seraaj kind of drove this home for me, but in this business, retention is a challenge. And so when I said I take things to heart, it's like I'm thinking, at one point I used to think, what am I doing wrong? Not to say that I may not be doing anything wrong, not perfect, but what am I doing wrong where I cannot find the right person for this position or for that position? And we need people hired. I'm advertising, I'm screening people. We may even bring some on board. Some stay for good lengths of time, and some may leave for whatever reason. And so I'm constantly hiring. This is not normal. And again, there may have been and still may be some things that I can improve upon. But he had to drive it home for me, just in letting me know this is kind of what you see in social services. He even shared some articles with me as well about it. And so it kind of made me look at things a little differently too, and approach the recruitment process from a different angle as well. But being able to attract and retain is a challenge in social services, and not just Seraaj. I've seen a lot of changes, and I probably can, talk for a while, but they've been good changes. And at the time, you may have thought, oh, wow. But ultimately, it was for the best. Sometimes when we receive information about the children that need to be placed in good homes, and I read the information, it's like, oh, wow, it really hits. And so we have this placement team where all of the referrals are sent to when Felicia receives the information. And at one point, I withdrew myself from that team just for a little while, because I would read it and it would be hard to read some of that. And it really hits home for me because just of my personal desires and in having a family, my husband and I, and then just to read what some of the kids go through, and I'm like, wow. So sometimes doing the case review, but I'm back on the placement team, but I had to take a break just for a minute. But even in the case reviews, I listen to some things, and it's still like, man, kids go through a lot, and no child ever asks to be here. I mean, that's just a fact. And kids go through a lot. Just thank God we have some really good foster parents and good team members, really great employees, to place the children in the homes and for the employees to provide the services and support. But sometimes it can be a little challenging to listen to some of it, but you really learn a lot just in doing that.
So how do you decompress when you get home?
This is an official question?
Mm-hmm.
I am still learning how to decompress. I'm not good with it. And I feel it now. So you have to, self-care is very important. You have to learn how to step away. You do have to learn how to decompress. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure that out. I try to do it, but I carry a lot of things. I think about a lot of things. My husband tells me all the time, he just looks at me and say, your mind is going, it's moving. Watch something on TV, and I can do that, and then I start thinking about something else. So it's a little challenging, but I'm learning. Some of the things I do is spend time with family. Everyone who talks to me for a length of time knows I have a niece that I spend a lot of time with, and so whether talking to her on FaceTime or on the phone, or spending time with her, with my mom, some friends. I'm waiting on them to respond. My husband, of course, and but I'm still learning how to do that. Sometimes it's hard. It's really hard, and I'm beginning to feel it. So I need to do some things to better take care of myself physically, because physically I'm feeling all that I have carried over the years, and my inability to effectively decompress.
Do you journal?
Do I what?
Journal.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I just started, and then I stopped. And I don't know why I stopped, but I need to get back on it. But it was good. It was really good to do. And the questions asked, writing things make a big difference. My brother has always said this. He has, I don't know, every book in the library you would think. He does a lot of reading about developing as a professional, about business as well. And he has always stated that writing things down, it just kind of, it helps connect everything. And so what do they say? I felt that. So I felt that when I started writing in the journal. And so I forever use my cell phone, this little sticky note app, and write notes or whatever. You can type up stuff all day long, but it's something about picking up a pen and writing it out that just really makes a difference. Based on feedback from employees, I think one of my first focuses would be a system that allows employees to log in, view their personal information, make updates as needed, view their pay stub online, print it if needed, view their W-2, print it when needed. So a system it's a system I used years ago, but they're still around, called PeopleSoft, but probably not on that scale, but just on the scale of what we need it for with the number of employees that we have. So a system like that would be good, especially, and it's not because we have certain things in place now, it just may not all be in one system, but we have things in place now except the capability of printing pay stubs. And I think I would really, really love for us to have that where you can view them online, because right now we have where the stubs are printed, and Rhonda Davis stuffs the stubs in the envelopes and make sure they're mailed off. So still the paper envelope thing, and we are in a virtual working environment, and that is that direction that we're continuing to move towards. We have remote working teams. We have teams that are not near a Seraaj office. And so I think it would be great for all of our processes to incorporate a virtual system. And so people are not waiting to get their stubs in the mail or at some P.O. box or something, or handed out to them at the next meeting or mailed to their home, so where they can actually just go online at 2 o'clock in the morning on payday and see their stub, or on the Thursday before payday and see their stub. So that type of system would really be great, and that would probably, and see all of the deductions, because right now, depending on the number of deductions you have, all of them do not print on the stub that you get. And so we get phone calls from employees asking about, hey, why is my check this amount, but I don't see, and it's because they may have so many deductions. It may be the number of benefits they're enrolled in or whatever. And because of how they print, it doesn't print all of the lines. So it will probably require an upgrade to the system that we have, or replacement of. I would love to see that though. It just makes sense to me as we continue to move toward a virtual working workforce. And I would, with an unlimited budget, I would hire an assistant. And I like to mentor, and I do some mentoring now. And I would like to have someone on board who would like to pursue a career in human resources, someone who is pursuing a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree in HR. HR is what they want to do. So I would hire someone to join the team and be able to help develop that person, hopefully, into being a great HR professional. They would assist with some of the recruitment and the onboarding piece, the training piece. Training is definitely a separate entity. And it requires a lot of attention when done properly. When done properly, you should be giving training a lot of attention. And it is a gap that we currently have. So to have someone to assist with that. With an unlimited budget, that's what I would do. And it would allow me to focus on more strategic HR things, especially after 20 years in doing it. Being able to focus on strategic things would be great. Professionally, when my name is heard, I just want people to be able to say that Marketa Myricks was passionate about what she did, and she gave her best. And it's as simple as that. And even personally, great family member, great daughter, great aunt, friend, and would do whatever she could do for you. Improving on processes, because it was a lot of things in place. And so I joined Seraaj at a really great time when changes were being made, and I love positive changes and being a part of the change. And so the team was already working on updating the performance evaluation process. They had already done the work and had done a fantastic job, and I came really at the tail end of it. And so just kind of keeping that momentum going. But the recruitment process, I would like to think, has been improved upon, and being able to attract the right talent. Again, always room for improvement, okay? And the onboarding process as well when it comes to paperwork. And because we used to have office managers in different offices, and they used to assist me with collecting the papers and making sure the new employee fills out the paperwork and everything. And we no longer have office managers, and so had to be a little creative. And during the pandemic, really being creative, which helped, especially in our virtual working environment. So this is the new way this is the way we're going to continue to do things. And so just when it comes to the paperwork process, and the company now providing iPads, to some of the workers. And so the ability for them to complete paperwork electronically. There's no more printing at this local office, filling out paperwork with a pen and mailing it in to corporate. And so it's a couple of documents with several forms in each document, right? And I send that to the employee. They electronically fill it out with their iPads, maybe their cell phones, I don't know what they're using, and email it back to me. So the printing is when it's emailed back to me and it's time to go to payroll and go in their file. And I love that because I don't like paper. And so I don't know if you can see all this, but it's a lot of paper pushed to the side because that I need to go through. I can't stand paper. I don't even look through my mail. At home, that is. Work mail I do. Let's see. Benefits enrollment. And by partnering with a company that we use, and so the ability to offer employee benefits online. So again, no more paper, and now employees just go online, click, and while they're clicking, they see how much it'll cost per paycheck. They're able to read information about the benefit, move on, and really can go through that process really in 15 minutes or less. In HR, it's a lot of different HR processes. So again, it's a lot falls under the HR umbrella. But I do an annual audit of the HR department, and I look at legal compliance. I look at, and a lot falls under that, making sure legal notices are where they should be or posted where they should be, looking at the application process, the interview process, because you have to make sure, everything, again, legally compliant, interview questions, legally compliant as well. And the recruitment, the onboarding, the job advertising, you're not asking anything that would violate any law. And so just do an annual audit of the HR department, the employee files as well. And so that is something that I did implement. And Rhonda Davis, she audits the files as well. So between she and I, we're auditing files. As a matter of fact, she creates the employee files, she files the paperwork and everything, and so, which is huge, and she does a really great job with it. And she may not even realize that she's a part of this HR audit process, but she has a big piece in it in regards to that, because employee files are very important, even with our audits. And I look at training as well, whether or not there are any training gaps. So a lot goes into that annual audit. But those are some of the things. There are probably a lot of other things as well. But I just kind of look at it as just doing my job, and it just kind of comes naturally, and it's really as simple as that. Girl, it's a struggle this morning. Let's keep it rolling. Take 2, take 3. Where we at?